Well, hey, a new day, a new Generation Zero player survey. And from the looks of this is one where you could actually enter into a raffle to win $100. So what's going on, everyone? My name's Tenebris Infinite, and as per usual, I'm going to complete this player survey, do some of the questions here, and we're going to talk about what this player survey is about as we go through things here. But it's very interesting having a survey that includes a raffle this time. I think that that's kind of a nice little incentive for jumping on through and completing this survey. You can find this survey on your home screen for Generation Zero when you fire up the game. You might have to cycle through the tabs on your home screen to get to the survey, but it should be one of the first things in there. But now, after plowing through some of the basic questions, like how long I've played for and how often I play, and by the way, my dude's getting very close to the 1,000-hour mark. Just hit 950 hours in the game, so 50 more hours to go. But what initially attracted me to Generation Zero? And a bunch of these things kind of tie together, but the main thing that was like kind of outside of the options here was the challenging experience. This game was marketed as a high difficulty game, and I think that that still rings true, especially in monkey mode. But beyond that, the visuals and the graphics, the environment and the atmosphere and the open world all kind of tie together. The game being set in Sweden as well as looking absolutely gorgeous totally drew me in the first place. Then, my previous experience with the developer, I know that Avalanche Studios puts out banging games, so I knew that this was going to be something reliable from the get-go. But then lastly, the enemy design, the stealth action, and the combat. I kind of lump all of those together as well, because you wouldn't have the stealth action and the combat without the enemy design, but it very much was the enemy design that sucked me in the first place. The fact that you were fighting evil machines in a Swedish countryside, sold right there. This next question is a very interesting two-part, so what you decide in question 9 will be what shows up in question 10. So in question 10, we'll just go through this through the number order list. So for number 1, I put in power because I generally enjoy a video game that gives me a lot of progression and the ability to become very powerful in the video game. Next up is the story, such as like elaborate plots, the interesting characters, and that's number 2 because you really can't have a good game without a good story. Like sometimes you can, but it is very rare and very far between. 3, excitement. If you ain't having fun, it ain't worth it. 4, destruction. Come on, man. A good video game has 3 things: explosions, jetpacks, and grappling hooks. Number 5 for the challenge. Challenge is necessary, I find. If a game is too easy, then there is nothing to really engage you in the game. For number 7, the discovery. I really think that having an open world with like things to discover, things to explore, really gives the kind of the meat on the bones for a video game experience. Fantasy and escapism. I kind of put these both together, and really, you know, I mean, we wouldn't be playing video games to be playing real life unless if you're playing one of those crazy simulation games. Then design, such as expression, customization, build, etc. So I do very much enjoy in a video game having some sort of a customization option, the ability to build my own thing, make my own impact in the video game world. Relaxation comes in at a 10. It's not the least important thing, but it's definitely not the most important thing. But having a factor of relaxation, I think, just makes a well-rounded experience for a video game. Strategy. I think that strategy comes into play for most video games, but I still think that it is a factor that comes into play as an important factor for a video game. Well thought out strategy that the player can imagine in their head and then realize in the game. And then lastly, completionism, because I'm not entirely a completionist, but I do like a good collectathon. I'm not gonna lie, man, this was probably the hardest question of the entire survey. Question number 14. Now we're getting to something spicy here. What would you like to see get improved with Generation Zero of what is already there? So I picked bug fixes, enemy behavior, base building content, the crafting system, inventory management, the UI, the progression system, and then for the last, I think it would be really nice to see a lot of legacy content get kind of a fresh coat of paint with, like, you know, new bike skins, new experimental weapons, potentially going over the rival system, and all of that old legacy content just kind of being not forgotten as we move along here with Generation Zero. I wrote a little novel for the team for question 16 here, but basically it's like, what would you like to see from Generation Zero in the future? Like, no cap, no holds barred. So what I said was, I would love to see Generation Zero continue to move in the direction it has been lately. More machines from varying factions, an expanding arsenal for us to choose from, as well as factions and our new character arcs becoming a reality in the game. Having choices between them, being able to decide the side that you truly want to join, even if it would be a chaotic side like the Giving Tree or the Liusek Commune, or going over to the other side with the Swedish Armed Forces, or maybe picking the Soviets or NATO if they could enter the fray in a much bigger way. But beyond that, I would really like to see the game continue to evolve in any way possible, from refining the engine and bug fixing to introducing some of the deeper capabilities of the Apex engine into Generation Zero, like extreme weather and physics systems that the player can take advantage of, and all of the kind of really crazy advanced things that the Apex engine can do and has shown in previous games. But most importantly of all, I just want to see Generation Zero survive and thrive through the years. Be that in, like, whatever means or shape that it takes along the way. Generation Zero is in the very utmost capable hands, and I 100% believe that this development team will bring Generation Zero to its absolute apex of potential here. But then, for 17, what format would you like to see a live service for Generation Zero take? And so I went with co-creation with the community, working with mods and stuff like that, and mod creators and stuff, maybe having the community vote on, you know, features that the team is considering and stuff like that. I think it would be really awesome to see. Weekly updates, that's crazy. If the team could pull off weekly updates, that would be crazy, and I think that that would be so awesome for the community. And then lastly, content that refreshes every day from the server. Daily content would also equally be amazing to see. The effort behind assignments is something that I think has a ton of potential here in Generation Zero. And I couldn't really think of anything else to add on to that. So for question 18 here, what makes me choose to play Generation Zero? And Generation Zero has so many venues of the things that I enjoy, from retro future sci-fi to thick Scandinavian mystery, a dystopic apocalypse that's unlike the typical experience, an enemy that's unique and, again, unlike your typical experience, and the ever-evolving plot with its complicated narrative ties and currents. It keeps me hooked, even as we go through any sort of rough patches, just to experience the high points and see things come to conclusion and come to fruition and stuff. As well, I've just kind of always felt very passionate about this game's success and this team's success from the get-go. I don't know why, but I don't really question it, I just kind of go with it. Popping on through, the rest of the questions were kind of just self-pertained, so nothing really too spicy going on there, but still fine to fill out and probably worthwhile information for the team to learn. But next up, if I was going to review Generation Zero, what review star rating would I give the game? I would give it 10, because it really, like, best game I ever played sounds like such a hyperbole, but it really is one of the most continuously enjoyable games that I've ever played. So let's see. Alright, there we go, and finally last, the email address. So, all in all, maybe not the spiciest of surveys that we've had so far, but the raffle's really nice, and I really think that some of the things that were brought up in this survey are really interesting, like the concept of weekly updates. I want to know, what do you dudes think about weekly updates for Generation Zero? Daily refreshing content, as well as working with the community a little bit more closely in order to make content happen. So let me know all of your thoughts and opinions on this survey in the comments down below. Don't forget to fill it out for yourself so you could be entered in that raffle. But cheers for now, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one. Until then, peace.